New employees mocked me, calling me an incompetent old man during training. One by one, they got up to leave. Until I whispered, "You're all fired." The room froze. And they stared in shock. The training day finally arrived. The training was conducted in a rented conference room with top-notch audio-visual gear because the office conference room was inadequately furnished. Due to the rather early start time of the session, everyone was expected to go straight from their homes to the training site and then return to the office. I got to the training site early and waited for the other staff members to arrive. This is odd. I had told everyone that the training would begin at 9:30, but by 9:25, nobody had shown up. Michael, the trainer, was already getting the movies and session materials ready when he arrived 30 minutes early. Is it possible that nobody will arrive 5 minutes prior to the start time? Although someone might come very near, it seemed too coincidental that the entire department showed up at the last minute. Nevertheless, I chose to hold off until 9:30, hoping it was really a strange coincidence. The time was 9:31. It was past the commencement time. This is strange. Is it possible that everyone mistook the time and date? As he said, I double-checked that I had communicated the correct date and time multiple times. Michael appeared worried. However, I became anxious, questioning whether I had actually made a mistake. The right information was displayed in the shared conversation, though, and several staff members even responded, "Got it." Not a single person could have misinterpreted the date. I said, "I'm so sorry," to Michael. My phone rang at that very moment. I noticed it was Kevin phoning when I looked at the screen. I said to Michael, "I apologize, but this is Kevin." And then I took the phone. "This is John." "Kevin, where are you at the moment?" I questioned him nervously. "Where else? I'm in the workplace." I became more depressed and anxious after hearing this. The training day is today. Michael's waiting. Will you be able to arrive soon? Furthermore, nobody else has arrived. Why would I go? Kevin responded loudly, laughing. Additionally, there's no point in waiting for anyone else because they won't arrive either. Would you mind attending the training alone? Unable to understand his meaning, I answered, "What do you mean?" I let everyone know the accurate date. "You are welcome to look at the chat for yourself." "Yeah. I know," Kevin answered, laughing once again. "However, I informed the executives that it was your error. So don't worry, they'll blame you for everything." I am eagerly anticipating it. I became enraged and retorted, "Why would you do such a thing? Although I'm accustomed to your abuse, Michael is involved this time. You're giving him difficulty." Kevin's voice became derisive. "Michael, who gives a damn about an unknown elderly man?" Though not particularly valuable, the CEO's lectures are at least marginally superior. This training, to be honest, is useless. Isn't it preferable to remain at the workplace incomplete, your real work? I was surprised. He was constantly so obedient to the superiors, but now he was disparaging even the CEO. Kevin continued, "I ordered everyone in our department not to attend this training, and, hey, I even coordinated the dates so everything would go smoothly. You should thank me for my generosity." Kevin let out a loud laugh, sounding just like an evil overlord from a children's cartoon as he shouted those words. I was beyond angry and deeply disappointed to have crossed paths with such a petty boss. "Why, Executive Director, did you hand someone like him such power?" Just then, Michael, who had been watching me with concern, said, "I see. So that's what's happening." And from there, events unfolded in ways I could never have predicted. My name is John Williams. I'm a 34-year-old office worker. I work for a mid-sized ed company called R Technology. Our CEO is a woman named Lauren Carter. I didn't attend college due to my financial circumstances, so I joined this company straight out of high school. 15 years have passed since then. Recently, my biggest concern has been the change in my direct manager. My previous boss, Robert, had to leave the company due to health issues and return to his hometown. The executive director, James, brought in an acquaintance with managerial experience at another IT company, Kevin Davis, who became our new department head last month. Kevin is 35, close to your age, and a polite guy. "I'm sure you'll get along well," James told me before I met Kevin. I was hopeful. Robert, who was twice my age, had treated me like a son. But the idea of working with a manager close to my age felt refreshing. However, my expectations crumbled the moment I first met Kevin. It happened on his first day at work. "Nice to meet you. My name is Kevin, and I've been assigned as the new department head. I may cause some inconvenience as I get settled, but I look forward to working with you." Kevin greeted us with a formal introduction. At first, when James introduced him in our presence, Kevin seemed completely ordinary. But as soon as James returned to another floor and left the room, Kevin's demeanor completely changed. "Listen up, all of you. Don't think you can look down on me just because I'm young. I'm going to run a tight ship here. Slack off, and you're out fired on the spot." The sudden shift in Kevin's personality froze the entire room. I had been hopeful when James said, "He's close to your age and seems like a polite guy." But Kevin's proximity and age only seemed to amplify his hostility, and I became his target from the very first day. "You there. I don't know how long you've been at this company, but you seem like the least useful person here. What college did you graduate from?" Suddenly being singled out, I panicked and stammered, "Well, I didn't go to college." Hearing my awkward response, Kevin burst into loud laughter and said, "Seriously, you didn't go to college? High school graduate? That's unbelievable." To be insulted like this upon our first meeting made me seriously question his character. And knowing I would have to face this person every day from now on made my heart sink. From that day on, the power dynamics within our department began to shift. People started dividing into two groups: those who wanted to avoid Kevin's overbearing personality and stayed out of his way, and those who tried to win his favor to make their lives easier. The avoidance group wasn't harassed outright, but they weren't treated well either, leading to a weaker standing within the company. On the other hand, the favor-seeking group enjoyed preferential treatment, better work, assignments, and more decision-making authority. When Robert was the department head, he evaluated employees based on their performance fairly, but Kevin evaluated employees based on his personal feelings, which raised serious doubts in my mind. Among the avoidance group, some people managed to keep their heads down and get through each day, but others became mentally exhausted and started taking frequent absences. It was disheartening to see people who had been lively and motivated during Robert's time now struggling. I didn't belong to either faction, and I was constantly thinking about how to create a better work environment for everyone. Eventually, I realized that the only way to address this issue was to report it to higher management. So about a month after Kevin's arrival, I decided to speak with James. "James, I need to talk to you. Our department is facing some serious issues." "What's going on, John? What's the problem?" I explained to James how our team was becoming divided and how Kevin wasn't evaluating employees fairly. Kevin becomes very overbearing when supervisors aren't around. While strictness can be necessary for work, the way he plays favorites among employees and treats others unfairly is a major issue. Back when Robert was here, evaluations were based on the quality of our work, but James' response was disheartening. "Well, I understand what you're saying, John, but Kevin is still new to his role. He's probably trying different methods to find what works. You should just focus on doing your best under his leadership. Speaking poorly of your boss isn't the right approach. Try to get along with him." I felt deeply disappointed. It wasn't about bad-mouthing Kevin. It was about addressing a serious problem. If we turned a blind eye to wrongdoing, it would only embolden such behavior. But James likely felt obligated to defend Kevin given that he had personally handpicked him. "I understand. I'm sorry for bringing it up," I said, ending the conversation and returning to my work. A few days later, something unexpected happened. The CEO of Future Vision Incorporated, Joshua, is here. Who is in charge of him? An employee who received the call from the receptionist told our department. So Future Vision was a client I've been handling for years, and I had scheduled a meeting with Joshua to discuss contract renewals. "I'm the person in charge. I'll head to the conference room now," I said as I stood up. But Kevin immediately raised his voice and said, "John, don't go. You're no longer in charge. From today, Tony will be handling Future Vision." "What?" I couldn't believe my ears. I had been responsible for this client for years and had scheduled this meeting with Joshua, yet Kevin was reassigning the account on the spot. But Joshua is already here. We agreed to meet at 2 p.m. Kevin shot back, "Don't talk back to me. You're such an arrogant, useless employee. Typical for someone with only a high school education. Shut up and stay out of it." Kevin then turned to Tony, a college-educated employee in the favor-seeking group, and ordered, "Tony, you're in charge of Future Vision from now on. Head to the conference room immediately and close the deal." He is one of the employees who aligns himself with Kevin to gain his favor. Tony, surprised by the sudden directive, hesitated and said, "Me? Really? Okay. I'll do my best." He left the room reluctantly, heading toward the conference room. "Why are you suddenly reassigning this account? If you're going to make changes, there needs to be a proper handover." I argued to Kevin, and he said back, "It's your defiance and holier-than-thou attitude that irritates me. Keep pushing back and I'll make sure you're fired." What he's saying is ridiculously childish. A department head, someone responsible for leading their colleagues, should never say such things, I thought. But Kevin went on to say something even more absurd. "I heard all about it. You? You went to James to badmouth me, didn't you? Tony's the one who leaked that information. So as a token of my gratitude, I've decided to assign him the Future Vision account. And as your penalty, I'm taking you off the account. How does that feel? If you keep going against me, you'll find yourself completely isolated in this company, sitting by the window with no work to do until you're finally fired." Kevin laughed as if he was thoroughly enjoying himself. He's insane. It was a mistake to make him department head. I was certain of it. But knowing that talking to James about the reality of this situation had led to this result, I felt utterly lost. Kevin's dislike for me was now absolute, and from that point on, he systematically removed me from my responsibilities, leaving me with almost no real work. He even took to ridiculing me in a mocking tone, saying things like, "Hey, John. Go make some coffee. And if it tastes bad, do it again. Coffee and photocopying are the only things you're good for. So at least try to get those right." Biting my lip in frustration, I had no choice but to prepare coffee for the staff. "Man, you really have it rough, getting stuck making coffee despite how long you've been here. If it were me, I'd just quit," a younger colleague said, mocking me. And he was not the only one. There were other employees of Kevin's loyal group who made fun of me along with Kevin. I realized that human society, which seems peaceful and stable at times, can easily descend into chaos with some people attacking others when the balance is disturbed. But there was one task I still had left besides making coffee and photocopying. Our company holds training sessions twice a year, bringing in external instructors to teach the employees. This tradition started long before I joined the company. And while I don't know exactly who oversees it, I had been assigned the role of communicating the training schedule to my department's employees a few years ago. Since the sessions are held department by department, I needed to coordinate the best dates for our team and report them to upper management. To do this, I sent out a survey in our department's shared chat asking employees to submit their preferred dates by the end of the month. Looks like the deadline's approaching. Returning to my desk, I opened my computer to check the responses. This year, everyone chose the same date. Usually, preferences were all over the place, requiring me to go around and adjust schedules individually, a time-consuming process. But this time, it seemed like a stroke of luck, and I felt grateful for the rare coincidence. I promptly informed upper management of the finalized date and shared the information in the department's group chat. Since some people inevitably missed messages, I also announced the date during the morning meeting and put up posters to ensure no one would overlook it. This responsibility had originally been handled by our previous department head, Robert, but it had become my job over time. When I informed Kevin of the training and my role as the schedule coordinator, he showed no signs of disapproval. "So this kind of training happens every year. Sounds fine to me. You're in charge of coordinating the schedule, so take care of it," he said with rare approval. With everything in place, I prepared for the training day as usual, confident in my work. "Hey, John. Who's the instructor for this training session?" A few days before the training, Kevin asked me this question. I shared the information I'd received from upper management. "His name is Michael Ashton. He's an expert in the IT industry in his late 50s. Kevin's expression darkened, and he muttered as expert. "I'm an expert in the industry too." Unsure how to respond, I said, well, I've heard he's somewhat of a celebrity in the field. I shared additional information I'd received. Is that so? Kevin said dismissively, ending the conversation. Finally, the day of the training arrived. Because our office conference room lacked the necessary equipment, the training was held in a rented conference room equipped with high-quality audio-visual systems. Since the session started relatively early in the morning, everyone was instructed to go directly to the training venue from home and return to the office afterward. I arrived at the training venue early and waited for the other employees to arrive. This is strange. Even though I had informed everyone that the session started at 9:30, not a single person had shown up by 9:25. The instructor, Michael, had arrived 30 minutes early and was preparing the materials and videos for the session. Could it really happen that no one shows up 5 minutes before the start? While it was possible for someone to cut it close, for the entire department to do so seemed far too coincidental. Still, I waited, hoping against hope until 9:30. The clock struck 9:31. The start time had passed. That's strange. Could it be that everyone got the date and time wrong? Michael, the instructor, said to me with a worried expression. I double-checked to ensure I had communicated the correct date and time multiple times, but I started to panic, wondering if I had somehow made a mistake. However, the shared chat confirmed that I had relayed the correct information, and several employees had even replied with "understood." It would be one thing if one or two people got the date wrong, but for everyone to make the same mistake was highly unlikely. I'm terribly sorry. I apologized to Michael. Just then, my phone started ringing. I quickly glanced at the screen and saw that it was Kevin calling. I turned to Michael and said, "Excuse me." It seems to be a call from Kevin, and then answered the phone. "Kevin, this is John. Where are you right now?" I asked him urgently. Kevin responded, "Where else would I be? I'm at the office, of course." Hearing this, I panicked even more and said, "Today is the training day. The instructor has been waiting. Can you come right away? And none of the other employees have shown up either." Kevin laughed loudly and replied, "Why would I go? And the others, they won't show up either, no matter how long you wait. Why don't you just enjoy the training all by yourself?" I couldn't understand what was going on and replied, "What do you mean? I'm certain I told everyone the correct date and time." "You can check the chat messages to see for yourself, Kevin." And then he said, "Yeah, I know. But don't worry. I'll report to upper management that it was your failure to communicate. I'm really looking forward to seeing you get chewed out for this." Anger welled up inside me, and I retorted, "Why would you do something like this? I'm used to you harassing me because you don't like me, but this time, it's causing trouble for Michael, our instructor. It's not fair." "Damn," Kevin responded. "Michael, why would anyone care about some old guy no one knows? A lecture from the CEO would still be better than this nonsense, though, honestly, our CEO's talks are pretty dull too. Either way, it's all pointless. Instead of wasting time on some lame training, you should be at the office doing real work." I was stunned. Kevin, who always acted submissive around executives, was now belittling even the CEO in this way. Kevin continued, "I told everyone in our department not to attend the training. Since no one was going to show up anyway, I at least made sure everyone submitted the same preferred date to make the scheduling process easier. You should thank me for my kindness." Kevin's laughter was like that of a cartoon villain from a children's show, loud and exaggerated. I felt a deep sense of disappointment, not just anger, about having crossed paths with such a ridiculous boss. "James, why on earth did you hire someone like him?" I thought to myself. At that moment, Michael, who had been standing nearby with a concerned expression, spoke up. "I see. So that's what's been going on." Surprised, I instinctively said, "What?" It quickly dawned on me that Kevin's loud voice and Michael's proximity had allowed him to overhear our entire conversation. "I'm sorry, Michael. I never expected things to turn out like this. This is also my oversight. I deeply apologize." When I apologized, Michael replied, "No. You don't need to apologize. None of this is your fault." He continued, "You've been through a lot, haven't you? I'll handle this situation myself. Don't worry about today. I'll be in touch later." He then packed up the projector and materials he had prepared and left. As I walked back from the rental conference room to my company, my mind was flooded with thoughts. Michael had said he would handle the matter. Could that mean I might face a demotion, a pay cut, or even the worst-case scenario, being fired? On the other hand, Michael had overheard Kevin's words. Would Kevin be held accountable? But as an external instructor, Michael might only report that his time was wasted due to our company's mistakes, which could still result in me being blamed. With these thoughts swirling in my mind, I arrived at the office. Entering the building, I felt a heavy weight as I headed toward the third floor where my department was located. To delay my arrival, I told myself it's for exercise and opted to take the stairs instead of the elevator. Still feeling dejected, I entered my department's office. What greeted me was an unexpected scene. Standing there was our CEO, Lauren Carter, arms crossed and glaring angrily at Kevin. In front of her, Kevin stood with his shoulders slumped, looking utterly defeated. "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean it." Kevin was unusually meek as he apologized. "Sorry isn't going to cut it. James brought you here claiming you were a talented hire, but I was foolish to believe him. Giving someone as utterly incompetent as you a managerial position and paying you a salary, what a waste." Lauren raised her voice in frustration before letting out a deep sigh. The other employees could only stand by, nervously watching the scene unfold. Soon after, Lauren noticed me standing nearby and turned her attention toward me. "John, you've been through a lot, haven't you? I'm so sorry for all the trouble you've had to endure." Lauren offered words of sympathy. I could only respond, yes, still struggling to grasp the situation. My husband was beyond angry. He was dumbfounded. He told me he's encountered many professionals in his long career, but rarely anyone this abysmal. He couldn't help but laugh. Bitterly, Lauren said this as if to herself.